Welcome, you guys, to Daytona State College. Thank you for your patience this morning, for coming out to spend a little bit of time with us as we talk about entrepreneurial mindset. Say that fast 10 times with your mask on, please. But what we're talking about today is a curriculum that is being infused into all of classes and all of the culture, if you will, of Daytona State College. The curriculum was invented, if you will, out of this book called Who Owns the Ice House? It's a great book. If you haven't read it, it's even better to listen to the author actually tell his story. But he talks about entrepreneurial mindset. So that's what we're here to talk about today. We have business owners here, and we actually have students here as well to make a great connection from students that are learning skill sets that they may one day take to own their own business. But there's also students that are learning skill sets that may not want to own their own business. So why is the entrepreneurial mindset of interest to them? And that's a question that we'll work on answering for them today. So thank you for being here. What I'll ask you to do is the first time you speak, if you will, just tell us your name and your business and what interest you have in this. That'd be great, as opposed to just going around and doing individual introductions this morning for time. So does that help? If you're a student and you ask a question, just give us your name and what area of study you're in. Okay, makes sense? So this grant started in February. It's called the Entrepreneurial Education and Training Grant. You'll hear it called EET. You will also hear it called EMO, Entrepreneurial Mindset Opportunity, which we came up with because EMO was an easier URL than trying to spell entrepreneurial when you were typing it in. When we made up these great posters that you'll begin to see around the campuses, all the campuses, and flyers, and we have a landing page on the website so that anybody from the community or student has an interest in this entrepreneurial mindset. We're going to be keeping up with contacts so that as we do speaker series and different things, that everybody gets invited to those. So what is the entrepreneurial mindset? I wanted to take a moment and read from the book what the author says. Well, now I'll read from the book what the author says. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It is a mindset that it can empower ordinary people to create extraordinary lives. It is a mindset that exposes opportunity and ignites ambition. It is a mindset that fosters innovation and initiative, curiosity, and lifelong learning, as well as the self-reliance and resourcefulness of which we are all capable. So with that definition, I want to start, one of our students, Janelle, has agreed to start with our first question to get our conversation going. And although we are prepared with questions, anytime anybody has a question from our students, we want you guys to ask that. It doesn't have to be on the paper that we all came up with those questions with when we chatted yesterday. I want you to take advantage of the opportunity of having these business people here and ask whatever burning question you have about this thing called entrepreneurial mindset, okay? And with that, Janelle, I'll let you kick us off.
Okay, thank you. Good morning again, everybody. The first question that I have that it's very important to me, and I think everybody here, is, in your opinion, could you tell me what is the entrepreneurial mindset? And that is for each person.
And you are in the study of?
And I'm Janelle, and I'm in the study of IT, and I'm minoring in business entrepreneurship.
So what does entrepreneurial mindset mean to you as a business owner? Who wants to start? And then we'll come to you, Nancy.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sans Lassiter. I'm the president of Lassiter Transportation Group, LTG. My opinion about entrepreneurial mindset is that it takes someone who's not afraid to step out and do something they're out of their typical comfort zone, but they need to be able to pick a goal and stick with it. And there are several things I eventually want to say, but right now, to me, that's one of the most important things about entrepreneurial mindset is understanding that others have done this before you and that it's not rocket science. It just takes that perseverance.
Oh, great word. And how long have you been in business, Sans?
Well, I've been out of school for 42 years. I'm still learning. My current business is 19 years old.
Great. Thank you. And then we have Nancy. She'll introduce herself and tell us what she does.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Benet. I am the CEO of Fix-It Accounting. That is my 5th business. I started my first one when I was in college, just like you guys. It was a miserable failure because I didn't seek any assistance. Anyway, you asked the question about the entrepreneurial mindset, and I really think it begins with having an idea that you want to do something different, that you don't want to work for someone else, that you are self-directed and feel like that you could make it on your own. So first it takes that, and then it takes a lot of persistence. My latest business I've had for 10 years, and I'll tell you, it was just slogging through some days. But the truth is, it's worth it. We really all have to slog sometimes, so don't get discouraged when you are in that space, and just keep on going, because every successful person had to just keep on going when the going was tough. I think that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Amanda, anything? Guys, don't forget to take pictures.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm the founder and owner of Mama Bear Sugaring Studio. We have 4 hair removal studios here in Volusia County, 2 here and 2 in Seminole County. I agree with what they both kind of touched on, was just keep on going. Because whenever you have a vision, you kind of see the end, right? But all that stuff in the middle is the stuff that really counts. So a little bit, about my story, I didn't even finish high school, but I knew that I wanted so much more. So I took every opportunity that was put in front of me and tried to make something of it. And then too, kind of like what Nancy touched on, just making sure that even on those bad days, you keep your end goal in mind and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, because that's what's going to get you to that end goal. And 2, knowing that there's no real finishing point. You're never going to get to this point and go, all right, I'm done, I made it. It's more like the journey is kind of part of that whole end game. So I think that's kind of what it is for me.
So one of our students let's move on to the second question. If you've got a question you want to ask, or you want to ask the second question on your sheet. Do you want to ask that question? Okay, this one right here.
Hi there, my name is Danielle. I'm a cosmetology student. From a business perspective, why is an entrepreneurial mindset valuable?
And Ken, I'm going to put you on the spot because I think that's a great question for you.
Hi, I'm Ken Phelps. I'm the Vice President of Resource Development for the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I think an appropriate question, because the one thing that you've heard from all of the answers to this point, they're all business owners. I'm not. I'm in a leadership position with an organization, but I'm not the owner and not making decisions. Chambers of Commerce have been around for over 400 years. The first one was developed in 1599 in Marseille, France. But that doesn't mean we don't have an entrepreneurial mindset in how we operate our business, because I think the entrepreneurial mindset is important in business because there's always a problem to solve. And I think that's probably the defining characteristic of all of the entrepreneurs that I've met in my life. Their business launched because there was some problem they needed to solve. And it's not necessarily a new invention or a new product. It might be just a new way of doing things. And that is, for me, the key to the entrepreneurial mindset. I'll give you an example, and I think this last year with the COVID pandemic, I think you're going to see a spike in entrepreneurship in the coming years, because as people went through a challenge that they had never experienced before, it forced them to think differently. We have a program at the Daytona Regional Chamber called our Mission Members Program. We launched it right before the outbreak last year, and it looked a little different than we thought it was going to when it started. But the silver lining for us was in the subsequent year, as we were going into 2021, we actually used technology that we became adept at using during the pandemic to enhance the value of that program for those members. And part of that was we did a recorded interview with each business person that signed up for this program, but we didn't have to go meet in person and worry about distancing and masks and all that kind of stuff. We used Zoom as a platform and recorded those interviews and put it out there. So even though it's not a new invention, we solved a problem and provided additional value to our members. And to me, that's an example of how the entrepreneurial mindset is important in business, whether you're the owner or just somebody on the team.
I can tell you, before I started my own consulting business, I was the CEO of the YMCA, and in Jacksonville, we had 30 different locations when I was there as the chief operating officer, and then when I came here, we had 7 different locations. So while my staff were not entrepreneurs, if I had an executive director that was running one of my centers that was 45 miles from me, I needed that executive director to think like an entrepreneur. He or she needed to wake up every day thinking they owned that facility. And they were my most successful entrepreneurs, the ones that felt like that was their why. It was not their job, it was their responsibility, as if they did own it. Leslie, anything with your background that you have on this one?
Sure. My name is Leslie Jiscom, and I am the founder and CEO of the African American Entrepreneurs Association. I have been a serial entrepreneur for too long. But anyway, the question was the question, how does entrepreneurial mindset from a business perspective bring value? Was that it?
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay, cool. That's what I thought. All right, I think that's an important question now, specifically because an entrepreneurial mindset has a lot to do with economic development and job creation. That is in the forefront right now of the economy. And we see a lot of policies being looked at and possibly coming on stream, focusing on job creation. Now, I like what Ken said about entrepreneurial mindset solves problems, and that's where it begins. One of the other things that's awesome about entrepreneurial mindset is I call it the 3 Ps. Everyone hears about the 4 Ps of marketing, but I call it the 3 Ps, and I also say you have to apply the 3 Ps in this chronological order, and that is purpose. So you have to know your purpose. Planning, and planning covers business plan, doing your market research, and after that is passion. So if you can do those 3 things in that order, you will have it pretty much going for yourself. And you will also be able to solve a problem, and you'll also be creating jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. As our business leaders came in, I handed them all a card. And on their card is one of these 8 words. And the reason I did that is because the book gives 8 lessons. And the 8 lessons are titled these words. And he talks about Clifton. It's the story of his uncle who owned the ice house in Mississippi back in the 50s, I think. And the lessons he learned as a child, a teenager, a young adult, he went on to be a PhD and an inventor, and now he's a speaker, and we're crossing our fingers he's physically going to be here to talk to us at the end of the semester. So live, we're hoping. That's what we're working on. So if that happens, or even if it's online, it is going to be well worth all of us. I think San said he's a lifelong learner. I can tell you I'll be front and center to hear his story of how he used those lessons of working hard with his uncle in the ice house. Most of you aren't old enough. There are a few of us that won't make contact that remember the big blocks of ice. That was not an easy job back in the day. So this is how he organizes the book. And I don't know who I gave what card to, but what I wanted to ask our business leaders is the word that's on your card, or quite frankly, if you want to pick another word, that's fine too. I want you to tell us, because I don't think most of you have read the book, so it's not about what's in the book. You guys will learn that in your classes, but I want you to tell us what that word means to you as it relates to being an entrepreneur. Make sense? Okay. Nancy, you want to start? I'll come back there.
Thank you. My word is knowledge, And that's a key word with being an entrepreneur, because it is lifelong learning. Every day I start my day with something that helps improve my mind, something that helps me move forward. So I'm always learning every single day. Even inside my business, we do tax, so tax code is 79,000 pages or something. So we're always learning, even though we're in one specific niche in tax, there's always something new. So we have to have our minds open to be receptive and to take in all the information in the world around us. And we really need to know our businesses or our jobs or wherever we are. You have to be skilled with that. Knowledge is everywhere. With the internet, we have it at our fingertips, just on the computer or even on the telephone. So there's no excuse for not knowing what you need to know. And another thing with knowledge is getting a mentor that has more knowledge than you do, because you can read things in a book, but it's not the same as having someone that's been there and done that help you through. And yeah, you keep learning, but also dig out that mentorship. It's really vital. And I'll tell you, that's why I failed in my first business, because I did not have a mentor. And today, you look at athletes, they all have a coach, every single one of them. So we as entrepreneurs have to have a coach too, someone that can help us step through it. Maybe it's 2 or 3 coaches in different areas. It's vital. Knowledge is vital.
Thank you. Great advice. Great advice. And I like hearing they have to have coaches, because that's what I do for a living as a consultant. So Trish, what word do you have?
Hi, I'm Trish. I'm with Career Source Flagler Volusia, and I'm a prior entrepreneur. And when I hear the word choice, I think of it both in entrepreneurship and in intrapreneurship. You're going to get hit with so many things, so many obstacles that come your way, and so many things that could, be a potential end to your business. But you have the choice to keep going. You have the choice to push through. Or in terms of intrapreneurship, if you're working for a company and you've got your defined roles, you can choose to stay within that, but that's not going to lead to innovation. So you really need to make those conscious choices to say, this has been done this way, but I see a better way of doing it, and I'm going to go ahead and make those changes and do what needs to be done so that we can innovate and keep going.
And in the book, he definitely talks a lot about choices and how, as a kid, when his aunt told him to get out of bed to go to work, he didn't feel like he really had a choice. But as he got older, he had a choice of what to do. And at one moment in time, he had a choice of staying in Mississippi and continuing to work at the ice house or whatever, but he chose not to do that. And he went on to school and he gained more knowledge. And it's just a fascinating story. But choice was a big chapter. Kim, what do you have?
So my word is community, and to me, when I think about community and entrepreneurship, mostly it's about that. You think of that passionate drive for success, and at all costs, you're going to succeed. You do whatever it takes. But if you don't have community in mind, both in how you do your business and how you give back to your community, what is it all for? If you're not taking care of the employees that are working for you, or if you're not giving back to your community, those are your customers, or those are the places where you and your employees and your customers live. To build a pile of toys at the end, is that saying, he who has the most toys at the end wins. But it's really not the purpose. I find most people, when they give back, they get back multiples in return. And it's not, it has to be done altruistically. You can't approach it with that mindset. But it can be strategic. And you can do entrepreneurial thinking in something as simple as networking. I've seen folks who provide sales coaching and, chambers of commerce. We do networking events all the time. If you walk around and give your business card to everybody that is in attendance asking for their business, I guarantee you're going to get none. But if you go around and get to know people and help them solve a problem, and it's a long-term play, it's not an immediate return for you, but if you ask them, hey, what are you struggling with in business? And if you can connect them with somebody in your network who can help them solve that problem, they're going to be indebted to you and they're going to appreciate what you did for them. And so then when they have somebody that you can help solve a problem and earn business that way, you're going to get it, but you're going to get it many times over than the one transaction you might have earned that way. And to me, that's what the role of community plays in the entrepreneurial mindset.
Thank you. We'll go straight to Sans.
Thank you. My word is persistence. When I got out of school, I made sure that I was getting a degree that I could sort of be in charge of what I'm doing. I don't play well with others. Actually, I do, but I like sort of leading what we're all doing. And so that's why I have an undergraduate in electrical engineering where you work for other companies, and I got a master's in civil engineering where you can actually work for yourself. So for me, for my role, that worked out. But you have to learn, and it's that community that you were talking about. It's learning from others, the coaches that you need that Nancy was talking about. Go to work for somebody that you respect. I had an opportunity to go to work for a big firm or a small firm. My dad said, go to work for the small firm that's going to pay you less, because you're going to learn how to, empty the trash, change the, y'all don't know what this is, change the typewriter ribbon. There are things you're going to learn that you really have to know to run a business. And that was a good idea. And eventually I decided I was in a company that was going to promote me to an associateship after 7 years. 7.5 years went by, no promotion. I walked in, handed my resignation, because with me, my word is my bond, period. Very important in this business. And so I then decided to open my own company. That was at a lousy economic time, but at the same time, it got me out there thinking about doing my own thing. And a lady entrepreneur joined up with me, and the two of us started out a pretty good company that grew to a particular size. Then I decided I still wanted to do it my own way, and I went out on my own again. That was 19 years ago, working out of my house with my wife trying to figure out QuickBooks. And that didn't work so well. But because that didn't work so well, I ended up meeting somebody who could do good on the financial side, a good bookkeeper who's become the CFO of my company 19 years later. She's still with me. The main thing is I stuck with it. I had a plan. I worked in the community. I joined the organizations that I thought were strategic, including the chamber, to move me forward. In what I wanted to do. Most importantly, I made friends and I learned things from people who I knew were smarter than me, that Nancy was talking about, and had done this before. Very important. And many years later, the most important thing I can tell you ever do is surround yourself with good people. The people in your company that you're surrounded by are your most important asset, period.
And that, along with community, is one of the things that he talks about in the book, is your community is getting outside, but it's also being intentional about who you surround yourself with. So those two go hand in hand.
I just want to dovetail on something, too, that Sans just mentioned from an education standpoint. So for the students in the room, be entrepreneurial in how you approach your education. And what made me think of this was when Sans was talking about the different areas he learned in. It's great to go and get a degree in a certain area so that you can get a job in that field. But don't be closed-minded to the idea of taking some business courses, taking some accounting courses. Even for folks, I know there's a lot of conversation nationally currently on the focus on the trades, carpentry, plumbing, electrician, etc., that you can make a very good living with very little debt from an education standpoint. But I always try to encourage people to not just force a student into those trade kind of fields without exposing them to some of the other things, because what if they want to open their own firm? That's an entrepreneurial mindset, even with a skilled labor skill set, that is so important. And if you, as Sans mentioned, you're trying to learn QuickBooks, if you don't have a little bit of that introduction or expertise, it will be very, very difficult.
And you hit the nail on the head. That's the whole point of this whole entrepreneurial mindset, is to not just teach the skill set of whatever that is. If it's cosmetology, if it's engineering, it doesn't really matter. What are the skills that I need if I want to do this for myself? You know, and earlier we talked about, or if you want to be the best you can be inside that corporation, you still use this entrepreneurial mindset. Trish, do you have something? And then I'm coming to you, Leslie.
Just real quick, I wanted to comment on Ken's comment, because that's actually how I began my college education. Was my husband and I had a masonry business, and I came to Daytona State College and took an Introduction to Business course because I realized really quickly that I didn't know what to do. So that's how I actually came to Daytona State.
Thank you for sharing that. And I did not live here when I started college. I was 37 when I decided I needed a college degree, and I went to a junior college. And I've told Dr. Labasso this story many times because I was deathly afraid of walking into any college, but the junior college gave me a little more comfort. Back then they were called junior colleges as opposed to community college, but I started the same way and didn't finish up with my degree till I was 42 years old. So
It being for me specifically, and for you students, I just want you to know that I started after a 20-year hiatus of my education. I decided to go back to school during the 2008 recession. So I was one of those non-traditional students that decided to come back. And that happened to be here at Daytona State College. My journey here by taking that action was 2 years here. Then I got accepted into the business school at the University of Florida. Graduated there with a marketing degree, and till this date, the actually oldest African-American male to graduate ever from their business school. Then went ahead and got my MBA in international business. But I come back to action and execution. And education, some of you, I heard mentorship. I think all of those things are important when it comes to execution, thoroughly executing. Mentorship is important because you are able to harness some experiences from other people who are basically where you want to be. So you're always learning, and especially from those people that knows a lot more than yourself. But I think when it comes to entrepreneurial mindset, being able to execute is everything, because now you're solving a problem, and it brings me back to also execution to a class I took at the University of Florida, but it was a class that 2/3 of the students were engineers, by the way, of this class, and the class was actually called Selling Strategically. So that has a lot to do with execution, because engineers are usually inventors and they know how to make things and know how things work, but they were very poor in executing or selling or marketing their idea. So I think execution is key, and it's one of the reasons I honestly must say has a lot to do with my success.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You are definitely a man of action, that I know. And Amanda, what word did you have? Thought that was a good word.
My word was opportunity. I think with opportunity, sometimes you're given an opportunity and sometimes you create one. So if you can create your own opportunities, you're going to have a lot more success. But also being able to identify when an opportunity presents itself, and seeing everything as an opportunity, whether that be a mentorship, like Nancy and I were talking about, not saying no to anything. Anytime you have an opportunity to say yes to something, do it. Just like this event, when I received the email, I was like, oh, I can't say no to that. That's a great opportunity to meet people, to establish that community, to gain knowledge from all of the people that will be in this room. So I think seeing everything as an opportunity, saying yes to everything that you can fit in your schedule, and then creating those opportunities whenever you don't see one. That's really being an entrepreneur. Knowing I don't have this opportunity. How can I create that opportunity for myself? Whether that be reaching out to someone, getting a mentor, reaching out to your community, gaining the knowledge, all of those things are just super important. And I feel like you just have to create your opportunity and then seize the opportunities that are given to you.
And if you noticed, earlier I went up and put some check marks beside these words before we started doing this exercise on having our business leaders talk about each lesson. And what I did is while they were introducing themselves or answering the question about what does entrepreneurial mindset mean to them, they all use these words. without having any knowledge of what they were going to talk about when they walked in and I handed them a card. They had no idea what was on that card. I just said, take this card and it'll make sense later. But they all used those words. So I think the concept of wrapping all of that around from the book to the real live experience is important to note. So as our students, as we're coming to a close, I promised you 10:30 on the dot. What other questions? Janelle, you were so excited when I talked to you yesterday. I can't believe you don't have another question. I thought you might.
As it warmed my heart when I heard that I wasn't the only one. I am not from this country. I'm from Jamaica, and I am now starting my education. I've always had a passion for IT, and I wanted to know, especially from the Chamber of Commerce, how do you join the Chamber of Commerce? Because I think that is something that I'm going to need to go to. And also from the other business persons in the room, mentorship. That was touched on, that's important to me. How do the mentorship relationships start for the business persons and for the Chamber of Commerce, how to get involved with the Chamber of Commerce? And for the dear gentleman here that I was listening to, like, I'm so impressed, how to become a part of this organization that he has.
All good questions. And if we don't get to all three, I'm sure these gentlemen will hang out for a few minutes and make sure we get all of your questions answered, okay?
Sorry, Ken. Well, the one I liked is you ask, how do you get started? How do you meet people? And I think it's the communication through the community and the organizations you join, like the Chamber. But for example, I have a very dear friend who's the president of a local firm that provides IT network services throughout this area. And so I would be happy as a demonstration of of what you get and through communication and through developing a camaraderie with the community. I would be happy to tell you that after this meeting.
Janelle, I would say how you join the Chamber is you and I just have to talk afterwards. That's very simple.
He'll follow you out.
But I think it's important to understand that people approach the Chamber of Commerce with their business at different stages. We have over 900 members who are all at different points of the life cycle of their business. Some businesses are relatively new and are building a client base, and so they need connections and they need information and they need to become involved in the community. We've got larger firms that have been in business for many, many years who they're involved in the Chamber of Commerce because they support the mission of the Chamber, which is to build a strong economic opportunity throughout the community so that new businesses can become developed. But to me, that's the key, is you get to know people, because it's not about, if you're an entrepreneur and you're the only one looking for business opportunity for your business, you're behind the eight ball and you're going to struggle. You may succeed, but you'd be the exception, not the rule. The goal of getting involved in the community is to build your network so that you've got a whole group of people who are looking for, to use your word, opportunity for you, so that Teresa might be talking to somebody and they say, gosh, I can't get my computer to work. I don't know what's going on. Teresa can say, you know what? I just met a young lady who could help you with that. You didn't have to look for the work, but it came to you, and that is really, really important.
This sounds like an opportunity for a shameful plug. Anyway, the African American Entrepreneurs Association started in 2018. Actually started in 2016, but basically, I like what you said, Ken. Your net worth, your network determines your net worth. Write that down, guys. Okay, so that's very important. Now, our organization started specifically out of research that the underserved community was lacking in entrepreneurial acumen, entrepreneurial education. So because of that, after I finished my MBA, I decided, instead of going into corporate America, to go back to my alma mater, which has an entrepreneurial master's program at University of Florida. And I asked them 2 years ago would you join me on this journey? And they said yes. So they're one of my first corporate members. As of date, I'll give you a card before you leave. Our newest corporate member happens to be Bank of America. Bank of America last year launched a $1 billion fund for equity, entrepreneurship in the underserved communities. And I just like to say that they just became one of our corporate members this month, actually yesterday. And so they realized the value of the entrepreneurial spirit, the importance of the entrepreneurial spirit being harnessed and developed in the underserved communities. So that's some of the things that we do. We do workshops, we do consulting, we do business planning, marketing planning. There's a number of things. I'll give you a card before you leave. Thank you. So your network determines your net worth. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's very important as you seek to look to mentors and for support and help in your business. So always focus on that you're always learning and you're looking to get that information from others who has that experience that you don't have. Thank you.
So with that, I think we can call it a wrap. Is that what they say? The students have a few minutes to hang out. Some of them do. I think one has to run. But if you guys want to hang out for 5 minutes, great. If you have other appointments, I understand that. But this conversation, as you can see, could continue on. We are going to be doing another roundtable April 12th, and there'll be more information coming out about that. But I think today was incredibly great for our first go around. Again, thank you for your patience as we figured out the room, and we may figure out we don't want to do it this way next time. But for our first shot, I appreciate so much on behalf of Daytona State College, you guys coming out and meeting with these students. I know as a student, getting into rooms with people like you, heck, even as an adult, getting into rooms with people like you is incredibly important in making our businesses work. All right, and that lifelong learning, one of my favorite words, Sans, lifelong learning. So I do want to introduce Dr. Cheryl Williams. You don't have a choice.
Good morning, all. This is a great opportunity for all of us, the entrepreneurs in the room, those who are representing the business sector of our community, and most importantly, you as students. We have actually achieved an opportunity to bring to you and bring to this community opportunity and training related to the development of an entrepreneurial mindset. It's the beginning, it's the foundation of getting to where you want to be as entrepreneurs, as contributors to the workplace, as successful individuals. So we are more than happy to invite this level of engagement, appreciative of the support that we're getting from our business community, because we need to be mentored at all levels. I mean, there's never a point where you reach, if you're smart, when you say, I'm there. The journey starts today for many of you and will continue until you breathe that very last breath. So having that entrepreneurial mindset also suggests that you're embracing opportunity. You're embracing opportunities to deliver action. You're embracing opportunities to engage community, to understand the network and the platforming and the branding that you need to do in order to sell yourself. All right, you hear there's an opportunity. There's no second guessing. Should I go? Is this? Yes, it's something for you to do. Absolutely, because opportunity knocks often. I used to tell my children, little 3 and 5 and 7-year-olds, let's start with this entrepreneurial mindset development today. You wake up in the morning, you clean your room, you get dressed, you bed, you do all the things you need to do by 8 o'clock. Because when opportunity knocks, you want to be ready. And at 8:05, the children come and knock on the door and say, can you come out and play? That's an opportunity. If they're not ready, they have to say no. They pass that opportunity along. It didn't take them long to learn. They need to get up, get dressed, do all their chores, because when that opportunity knocked, they wanted to be ready to go. And so you always want to be poised. You always want to have an expectation of opportunity. When you start thinking there's no way, it's never going to happen, you're not nurturing your entrepreneurial mindset. there's always opportunity. So I really want to encourage your journey, and I want to thank you for helping us to pilot this opportunity here at Daytona State College, where we are absolutely delivering a certified training curriculum in entrepreneurial mindset development. So you're the first of the group to take advantage of these opportunities, and I hope you share with your student population to explain to them that we have this tremendous opportunity for our students. And I also want to encourage you that if you can take advantage of memberships through the Chamber or through the African American Entrepreneurial Association or anything else, our grant will allow funding to support that membership. So as you pursue these opportunities, come back and say, I'd like to join, and we can assist you in those efforts as well. So thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate your time. Thank you all for being here because we appreciate your interest, and we will hopefully we will be an asset to you whereby we can continue to nurture your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you guys very, very much.